Good day, this is Sarah Thayer, and this is my documentation plan. I did a documentation on a board game that has run through my family for several generations. The game has been passed down orally, and it's very family orientated. Well, the thing is, because it's been passed down orally, it doesn't have an official instruction set. Everyone has just been playing the game based off of how they learn from the next person. So I wanted to create an official documentation set. So here's my process. First, I had to come up with personas. I had to come up with 3 different personas, and here's the process. I asked a series of questions, and I asked a range of demographics. Now, this project was pertained to a game board. So I asked game board preferences, like what games do you like, what games frustrate you, and why. After that, I created 3 profiles based off of the answers I got and the demographics. And I came up with a profile for a senior citizen who has more time than not to spend time with family, and then I came up with a profile for someone who is more middle-aged, who's already in the career, maybe not as much time to focus on a board game, but definitely more family-orientated. And I also had a persona for someone who is very young, like teens, early 20s, who is more focused on getting their career and doesn't have much time, and they like more board games or games that are fast-paced and competitive. User experience part 1. Now, I had a part 1 and a part 2 of this because of the way I wanted to do it. So the first part, I did a very low fidelity, and I'll show you at the end what that looks like. And I had 3 people play it. Okay, based off of the really low half, somewhat, how do I explain it? Like, based off of my own mind, what I thought the rules were. Yeah. And then I did like an interview type thing where I based it on the instructions that I first wrote, because I wanted to get a better understanding of what main focus or points should I include in my final instruction sets. I asked 1 question to the same 3 people that played the game the first time. I asked them what 5 key points that did they retain from playing the first set. And based off of those 5 key points, I would include them into my instruction set. Now, something else that I discovered that I wasn't necessarily looking to discover, but it sort of happened when I asked this question. The oldest of them wrote paragraphs for each key point. And then the youngest literally wrote 1 word. The middle was literally a sentence. I should stop saying literally a lot. So, those findings were pretty unique. I guess not necessarily unique, but if you look at documentations from back then, they didn't have as much pictures to describe things, and they had to use more word-based things to describe. Whereas now we have more pictures, and that's my theory. So for my final documentations, I decided to add both pictures and words to fit this need. User experience part 2. After the interview, I did a medium fidelity, which was like a Word document, and then I tested the document, and then I did a high fidelity, which is on an InDesign thing, and I'll show you that one at the end too. And I did that based off of my findings from the medium fidelity, and I did the medium after my findings from the interview. This is what I did before. This is the very low fidelity that I'm so very sorry it had to come down to this. I got a couple rules wrong. I was playing with someone who knew the rules and taught it to me, and she told me to fix that rule. And there's no pictures, it's just a bunch of jib jab. Afterwards, this is the higher fidelity. It's a little cropped because of the way I incorporated the picture. So I added pictures into it, and this is the actual game board. Yeah. Thank you.